Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Vallabha offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his obeisances, and the Lord embraced him. After that, they discussed topics about Krishna for some time. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great ecstatic love when they began discussing Krishna. But the Lord checked his feelings because he felt shy before Vallabha. Although the Lord restrained himself externally, ecstatic love raged within. There was no checking that. Vallabha was astonished to detect this. And thereafter, Vallabha invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch, and the Lord introduced the brothers Rupa and Vallabha to him. From a distance, the brothers Rupa Goswami and Sri Vallabha fell on the ground and offered obeisances to Vallabha with great humility. When Vallabha Bhattacharya walked towards them, they ran away to a more distant place. Rupa Goswami said, "I am untouchable and most sinful. Please do not touch me." Vallabha Bhattacharya was very much surprised at this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, was very pleased, and he therefore spoke to him this description of Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Don't touch him, for he belonged to a very low caste. You are a follower of Vedic principles, and you are a well-experienced performer of many sacrifices. You also belong to the aristocracy." Purport. Generally, Brahmins are puffed up with false prestige because they belong to the aristocracy and perform many Vedic sacrifices. In South India especially, this fastidious position is most prominent. At any rate, this was the case 500 years ago. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually started the revolution against this Brahminical system by inaugurating the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By his chanting, one can be delivered regardless of caste, creed, color, or social position. Whoever chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is immediately purified due to transcendental tradition of devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here hinting to Vallabha Bhattacharya that an exalted Brahmin who makes sacrifices and follows Vedic principles should not neglect the person who is engaged in devotional service by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Actually, Rupa Goswami did not belong to a lower caste. He was from a highly aristocratic Brahmin family, but due to his association with the Muslim Nawab, he was considered fallen and was excommunicated from Brahmin society. However, due to his advanced devotional service, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as a Goswami. Vallabha Bhattacharya knew all this. One who was a devotee is above caste and creed, yet Vallabha Bhattacharya felt himself prestigious. The present head of the Vallabha Bhattacharya Sampradaya of Bombay is named Dikshita Maharaj. He is very friendly to our movement, and whenever we meet him, this learned Brahmin scholar highly praises the activities of the Hare Krishna movement. He is a life member of our society, and although he is a learned scholar in the Brahminical caste tradition, he accepts our society and considers its members bona fide devotees of Lord Vishnu. Hearing the holy name constantly vibrated by the two brothers, Vallabha Bhattacharya could understand the hints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vallabha Bhattacharya said, "Since these two are constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna, how can they be untouchable? On the contrary, they are most exalted." Purport. Vallabha Bhattacharya's admission of the brother's exalted position should serve as a lesson to one who is falsely proud of his position as a Brahmin. Sometimes, so-called Brahmins do not recognize our European and American disciples as devotees or Brahmins. And some Brahmins are so proud that they do not allow them to enter temples. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here gives a great lesson. Although Vallabha Bhattacharya was a great authority on Brahmanism and a learned scholar, he admitted that those who chanted the Lord's holy name are bona fide Brahmins and Vaishnavas and are therefore exalted. Vallabha Bhattacharya then recited the following verse: "My dear Lord, one who always keeps your holy name on his tongue becomes greater than an initiated Brahmin. Although he may be born in a family of dog-eaters and may therefore, by material calculation, be the lowest among men, he is still glorious. This is the wonderful effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord. It is therefore concluded that one who chants the holy name of the Lord should be understood to have performed all kinds of austerities and great sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. He has already taken his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage he has studied all the Vedas and is actually an Aryan. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear Vallabha Bhatt quoting from Shastra about the position of the devotee. The Lord praised him personally, and feeling ecstatic love of Godhead, began to quote many verses from Shastra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a person who has the pure characteristics of a Brahman due to devotional service, which is like a blazing fire burning to ashes all the sinful reactions of past lives, is certainly saved from the consequences of sinful acts, such as taking birth in a lower family. Even though he may be born in a family of dog-eaters, he is recognized by learned scholars. For although a person may be a learned scholar in Vedic knowledge, he is not recognized if he is an atheist. This verse and the next are quoted from the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, a transcendental literature extracted from the Puranas. For a person devoid of devotional service, birth in a great family or nation, knowledge of the revealed scriptures, performance of austerities and penance, and chanting of Vedic mantras are all like ornaments on a dead body. Such ornaments simply serve the concocted pleasures of the general populace. When he saw the Lord's ecstatic love, Vallabha Bhattacharya was certainly very much astonished. He was also astonished by the Lord's knowledge of the essence of devotional service, as well as by his personal beauty and influence. Vallabha Bhattacharya then put Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates aboard a boat and took them down to his own place to offer them lunch. While crossing the river Yamuna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the glossy black water and was immediately bewildered with ecstatic love. Indeed, as soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the river Yamuna, he immediately made a great sound and jumped into the water. Everyone was filled with fear and trembling to see this. They all hastily grabbed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and pulled him out of the water. Once on the boat's platform, the Lord began to dance. Due to the Lord's heavy weight, the boat began to tilt. It began filling up with water and was on the verge of sinking. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to restrain himself as far as possible before Vallabhacharya. For although he tried to keep calm, his ecstatic love could not be checked. Seeing the circumstances, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally became calm so that the boat was able to reach the shore of Adaila and land there. Fearing for the Lord's welfare, Vallabha Bhattacharya stayed in his association. After arranging for his bath, the Bhattacharya took the Lord to his own house. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at his home, Vallabha Bhattacharya, being greatly pleased, offered the Lord a nice sitting place and personally washed his feet. Vallabha Bhattacharya and his whole family then sprinkled that water over their heads. They then offered the Lord new underwear and outer garments. Vallabhacharya worshipped the Lord with great pomp, offering scents, incense, flowers, and lamps, and with great respect, he induced Balabhadra Bhattacharya, the Lord's cook, to cook. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was offered lunch with great care and affection. The brothers Rupa Goswami and Sri Vallabha were also offered food. Vallabha Bhattacharya first offered the remnants of the Lord's food to Srila Rupa Goswami and then to Krishnadas. The Lord was then given spices to purify his mouth. Afterwards, he was made to rest, and Vallabha Bhattacharya personally massaged his legs. While Vallabha Bhattacharya was massaging him, the Lord asked him to take prasadam. After taking prasadam, he returned to the lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, Raghupati Upadhyaya of the Tiruhita district arrived. He was a very learned scholar, a great devotee, and a respectable gentleman. Tiruhita, or Tirhutiya, is a combination of 4 districts in Bihar: Saran, Champaran, Muzaffarpur, and Darbhanga. The people of this state are called Tirutiya. Raghupati Upadhyaya first offered his respects to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord gave him his blessing, saying, "Always stay in Krishna consciousness." Raghupati Upadhyaya was very pleased to hear the Lord's blessing. Then the Lord asked him to describe Krishna. When Raghupati Upadhyaya was requested to describe Krishna, he began to recite some verses he had personally composed about Krishna's pastime. Hearing those verses, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Raghupati Upadhyaya recited, "Those who are afraid of material existence worship Vedic literature. Some worship Smriti, the corollaries to Vedic literature, and others worship the Mahabharata. As far as I am concerned, I worship Krishna's father, Maharaj Nanda, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is playing." This verse recited by Raghupati Upadhyaya was later included in Srila Rupa Goswami's Panchavali. When Raghupati Upadhyaya was requested by the Lord to recite more, he immediately offered his respects to the Lord and granted his request. "To whom can I speak who will believe me when I say that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is hunting the gopis in the bushes by the banks of the river Yamuna?" In this way, the Lord demonstrates his pastime. This verse was also later included in the Panchavali. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Raghupati Upadhyaya to continue speaking about the pastimes of Sri Krishna. Thus, the Lord was absorbed in ecstatic love, and his mind and body slackened. Our minds and bodies are always engaged in material activity. When they are activated on the spiritual platform, they slacken on the material platform. When Raghupati Upadhyaya saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms, he decided that the Lord was not a human being, but Krishna himself. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Raghupati Upadhyaya, "According to your decision, who is the foremost being?" Raghupati Upadhyaya replied, "Lord Shamasundar is the supreme foremost being. Of all Krishna's abodes, which do you think is the best?" Raghupati Upadhyaya said, "Madhupuri or Mathura Dham is certainly the best." Purport. Lord Krishna has many forms, as stated in Brahma Samhita: Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadam, Ananta Rupam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Raghupati Upadhyaya which form was the best of Lord Krishna's millions of forms, and he immediately replied that the supreme form was the Shamasundar form. In that form, Krishna stands curved in 3 places and holds his flute. The Shamasundar form is also described in the Brahma Samhita: Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Vidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. Those who are filled with ecstatic love for Krishna always see the form of Shamasundar within their hearts. Raghupati Upadhyaya confirms that the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has many incarnations: Narayan, Nishinga, Varaha, and others, but Krishna is distinguished as the supermost. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna's true Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna means Shamasundar, who plays his flute in Vrindavan. Of all forms, this form is the best of all. Krishna lives sometimes in Mathura and sometimes in Dwarka, but Mathura is considered the better place. This is also confirmed by Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita. Vaikuntha Janito Vara Madhupuri. Madhupuri, or Mathura, is far superior to the Vaikuntha lokas in the spiritual world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of the three ages of Krishna, known as childhood, boyhood, and fresh youth, which do you consider best? Raghupati Upadhyaya replied, fresh youth is the best age. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, among all the mellows, which do you consider the best? Raghupati Upadhyaya replied, the mellow of conjugal love is supermost. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, you have certainly given first-class conclusions. After saying this, he began to recite the full verse in a faltering voice. The form of Shyamasundar is the supreme form. The city of Mathura is the supreme abode. Lord Krishna's fresh youth should always be meditated upon, and the mellow of conjugal love is the supreme mellow. This is found in Panjavali. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Raghupati Upadhyaya in ecstatic love. Raghupati Upadhyaya was also overwhelmed by love, and he began to dance. Vallabha Bhattacharya was struck with wonder to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raghupati Upadhyaya dance. He even brought forward his two sons and made them fall down at the Lord's lotus feet. The two sons of Vallabhacharya were Gopinath and Vitaleshwara. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Prayag in the year 1512 or 1513, Vitaleshwara was not yet born. In this regard, one should see Madhya Lila chapter 18. Upon hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived, all the villagers went to see him. Simply by seeing him, they all became devotees of Krishna. All the Brahmins of the village were eager to extend invitations to the Lord, but Vallabha Bhattacharya forbade them to do so. Vallabha Bhatt then decided not to keep Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Adila, because the Lord had jumped into the river Yamuna in ecstatic love. Therefore, he decided to bring him to Prayag. Vallabha Bhatta then said, if anyone likes, he can go to Prayag and extend invitations to the Lord. In this way, he took the Lord with him and departed for Prayag. Vallabha Bhattacharya avoided the river Yamuna. Putting the Lord on a boat in the river Ganges, he went with him to Prayag. Due to the great crowds in Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to a place called Dasasvamedha Ghat. It was there that the Lord instructed Rupa Goswami and empowered him in the philosophy of devotional service. Purple. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. The Supreme Lord has multi-potencies, which the Lord bestows on his fortunate devotee. The Lord has a special potency by which he spreads the Krishna consciousness movement. This is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kali Kalera Dana, Krishna Nama Sankirtana, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi, Tara Pravatarna. One cannot spread the holy name of Krishna without being specifically empowered by Lord Krishna. A devotee who receives this power from the Lord must be considered very fortunate. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading to enlighten people about their real position, their original relationship with Krishna. One requires Krishna's special power in order to be able to do this. People forget their relationship with Krishna and work under the spell of Maya, life after life, transmigrating from one body to another. This is the process of material existence. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna personally descends to teach people that their position in the material world is a mistaken one. The Lord again comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to induce people to take to Krishna consciousness. The Lord also empowers a special devotee to teach people their constitutional position. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Srila Rupa Goswami the ultimate limit of the truth about Lord Krishna, the truth about devotional service, and the truth about transcendental mellows, culminating in conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. Finally, he told Rupa Goswami about the ultimate conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Rupa Goswami all the conclusions he had heard from Ramananda Roy, and duly empowered him so that he could understand them. By entering the heart of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him to ascertain properly the conclusions of all truths. He made him an experienced devotee whose decisions correctly agreed with the verdicts of the disciplic succession. Thus, Sri Rupa Goswami was personally empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. The principles of devotional service are only apparently under the jurisdiction of material activity. To be rightly guided, one must be personally guided by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the case with Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and other acharyas. In his book, Chaitanya Chandrodaya, Kavi Karna Purna, the son of Shivananda Sen, has elaborately described a meeting between Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the course of time, the transcendental news of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan was almost lost. To enunciate explicitly those transcendental pastimes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami with the nectar of his mercy to carry out this work in Vrindavan. This verse and the following two verses are from Act 9 of Chaitanya Chandrodaya by Sri Kavi Karna Purna. From the very beginning, Sri Rupa Goswami was deeply attracted by the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, he was permanently relieved from family life. Sri Rupa Goswami and his younger brother, Vallabha, were blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although the Lord was transcendently situated in his transcendental eternal form at Prayam, he told Rupa Goswami about transcendental ecstatic love of Krishna. The Lord then embraced him very fondly and bestowed all his mercy upon him. Indeed, Sri Rupa Goswami, whose dear friend was Swarup Damodar, was the exact replica of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was very, very dear to the Lord. Being the embodiment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, Rupa Goswami was naturally very beautiful. He very carefully followed the principles enunciated by the Lord, and he was a competent person to explain properly the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded his mercy to Sri Rupa Goswami just so he could render service by writing transcendental literatures. The characteristics of Sri Rupa Goswami have thus been described in various places by the poet Kavi Karna Purna. An account has also been given of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his causeless mercy upon Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami. Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were the objects of love and honor for all the great stalwart devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If someone returned to his country after seeing Vrindavan, the associates of the Lord would ask him questions. They would ask those returning from Vrindavan, how are Rupa and Sanatan doing in Vrindavan? What are their activities in the renounced order? How do they manage to eat? These were the questions asked. The Lord's associates would also ask, how is it that Rupa and Sanatan are engaging in devotional service 24 hours daily? At that time, the person who had returned from Vrindavan would praise Sri Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. The brothers actually have no fixed residence. They reside beneath trees, one night under one tree and the next night under another. Sri Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis beg a little food from the houses of Brahmins. Giving of all kinds of material enjoyment, they take only some dry bread and fried chickpeas. They carry only water pots and wear-torn quilts. They always chant the holy names of Krishna and discuss his pastimes. In great jubilation, they also dance. They engage almost 24 hours daily in rendering service to the Lord. They usually sleep only half an hour or an hour and a half. And some days, when they continuously chant the Lord's holy name, they do not sleep at all. Sometimes they write transcendental literatures about devotional service, and sometimes they hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and spend their time thinking about the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita.